YouTube? Welcome back to another video on the Unguardable, y'all. Back with another video, y'all. We got banger videos coming out every single week. This week, as y'all know, we just dropped our brand new video on the NBA episode. We cover messing up my words. Fucking recapping week 2 of the NBA week. Now we are on to week 9 of the NFL. Man, this week was fucking crazy. A lot of shit happened. Trades happened, which we'll get into and talk about, and then as well as some scores that were very, very unexpected happened over the weekend. Let me get these notes out so we can talk about it and get right to it. Excuse me. So let's get right to it. Week 9 of the NFL season, man. Like I said, y'all, a lot of crazy shit happened. As y'all know, in the middle we have our most surprising scores. On the left and right side, we got the scores of the week. And Cam will give his most surprising games of the week and give his takes on these NFL trades and things like that. But let me go over the scores real quick. So as y'all know, the Baltimore Ravens killed the Denver Broncos. Thank God I didn't start them for fantasy this week as far as their defense, because I already expected the Ravens to put it on them, but not this bad. Killed them 41-10, and as well as the Bengals put it on the Raiders this past Sunday. They were going kind of. I didn't expect the Bengals to play this well, but they played really well, especially with no T. Higgins. Chase had a pretty decent game. The Jagetsky dude, the tight end, if I mispronounce his name, he had a pretty good game as well. But yeah, the Bengals put it on them. One of the biggest shockers of the week for me probably was the Panthers versus Saints game. The Panthers somehow, some way was able to come on top and beat the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints are down bad, man. They've lost a lot of games. I believe they lost like 6 consecutive straight games, something like that. It's a ridiculous amount. They started 2-0 and they've lost every game since. So it's a lot of games they've lost, and Bryce Young got on the win column up there. Another game that was interesting, that sparked my interest over the weekend when I was watching Red Zone, was that Buffalo Bills game. On the right hand side, you guys see they ended up winning the game 30-27 against the Miami Dolphins off of a game-winning field goal kick. The fucking field goal kicker, I guess, ended up messing like an extra PAT, and then he ended up hitting a game winner from 60 plus or something like that. It was ridiculous. I was like, bro, I would be sick if this kicker missed an extra point and then for the game-winning kick, he hits like a 60-yarder, bro. I will be sick. But that's how that game ended up turning out. The Tennessee Titans, even though that was a horrible game to watch as far as the two teams record-wise goes, because those are literally the two worst teams in the NFL besides the Panthers, that Tennessee Titans versus New England Patriots game was actually pretty fun to see and interesting. Drake May was making some moves. Mason Rudolph was actually playing pretty well. To see those two trash teams go at it was actually pretty interesting. That Los Angeles Rams versus Seattle Seahawks, that was probably the most intense game I've ever watched, because I had Matthew Stafford as my quarterback for the fantasy week. But you know, I don't like the Rams as a Niners fan, y'all. We don't like LA, but they ended up pulling out that W off of a game-winning touchdown in overtime. That game was ridiculous. I'm not even gonna lie. That game was ridiculous. As well as, it wasn't really of a shocker, but it kind of shocked me, maybe some other people as well, was the Houston Texans versus New York Jets game. The Jets ended up coming out on top on that Thursday Night Football. I expected the Texans to win. I know C.J. Stroud was down of his receivers as far as Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs, which he gets Nico back this week, but he still had, Schultz, Tank Dell, and still had Robert Woods, still had decent options. Joe Mixon played a good game as well, but man, C.J. Stroud's offensive line looks horrible, man. Like, he gets sacked way too much, so I don't know what's gonna happen over there with the Texans, but like I said, they get Nico back, so we'll see what's going on with them. Another game that was actually pretty interesting as well was the Philadelphia game versus Jacksonville. That came down to the wire because Philadelphia was up, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, like 22-0 at halftime or something like that. They were up double-digit points, and Jaguars didn't even have any points at halftime, and they ended up coming back and came down to the last play. Trevor Lawrence ended up throwing up a pick towards the back of the end zone, which I watch a lot of football podcasts besides ourselves, y'all, and a lot of people was like, why would the Jacksonville coach throw a fade route on a 1st and goal when you could have tried to do anything else, to get towards the end of the end zone, and they had a 1st and goal attempt, and they threw a fade route, made Trevor Lawrence throw a fade route, and threw a pick on the first down that they had, and they could have had a game-sealing touchdown, or basically game-winning touchdown, because the final score was on that game-winning drive, as you see, 23-28. They could have took the lead, but they decided to pass it on 1st down for whatever reason, and the Chiefs remained undefeated on Monday Night Football, beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in overtime. That was another good game as well. I kind of expected Tampa Bay to kind of pull that out towards the end, basically the way how they was looking, but they ended up going for the field goal, which I kind of expected, but I thought they were going to go for 2. But I get, Todd Bowles is known for being one of the most conservative football coaches in the league, so he just went for field goal. And you know what happens when you give the Chiefs the opportunity to, the ball, and that's what happened. Overtime came around, they won the coin toss, they got the ball, and they won the game. You can never just let the Chiefs get the ball back. As a 49ers fan, I know it firsthand. Let's see what Killer Cam thinks about these games over the weekend. What games stood out to him? The biggest surprises. We have a lot of trades, as you see on the board, with Mike Williams going to the Steelers, the Cowboys making a horrible trade for this Mingo wide receiver who's like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, the Panthers. Everybody's been clowning them. The Steelers not the Steelers, but the Packers ended up making some defensive moves and ended up picking up a linebacker, Preston Smith, for a 7th round pick. And then, what's his name? Tre'Davious White ends up going to the Baltimore Ravens, and then as well as Dak Prescott is out for the year. Not out for the year. Well, he could be out for the year potentially. They said they put him on IR, and there's only 6 more weeks, or how many more weeks, Cam, left of the season? It's only not that long, not that many weeks left. So, hopefully Dak comes back, but we'll see. And then, as y'all see, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, like we talked about, they lost to the Panthers, and that was probably the final straw for them. And he ended up getting the boot and getting out of there. So we'll see who this New Orleans Saints end up hiring as a head coach, or if they just stick with the in-house coaching hiring. But Killer Cam, man, talk to me. What was your biggest surprise this week? What do you think about these new trades? And then,
I don't feel like it was too many surprises. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Maybe.
You
Yeah, I
can't
feel
tell
like
me you didn't expect the Panthers to beat the New Orleans Saints.
have the Saints haven't won a game since week 2.
But it's the Panthers.
The Saints haven't looked good at all. Um,
Yeah, but they had Derek Carr coming back, their quarterback that they did win the games with, fucking Kamara. Oh my God, that Olave injury. Oof, that was rough too.
um, I would say probably the Texans is probably the most surprising. Um,
I'm agreeing with that one.
I would have expected them to beat the Jets. But yeah, I don't feel like none of it was too surprising. And as far as those trades, none of them really moved the needle. I like the Ravens. I like that trade for them, but the rest of those trades, they're not really moving the needle. Maybe some slight improvements.
Okay. How did you feel? Did you catch that game I was referring to with the who was it? Let me go to it real quick just so I can see. The Bills versus Dolphins game. Did you see that Bills versus Dolphins game where the dude kicked the game winner field goal by chance? You beat that
I
game?
saw the kick. I wasn't watching the game, but I did see the kick.
Okay,
Um,
okay. So with all those games not being surprising to you,
yeah.
apparently, well, let me ask you about these 49ers. So 49ers had a bye week. We are coming back this Sunday. We got Jawan Jennings coming back. He's been practicing. Christian McCaffrey is back practicing. Um, from reports, they've been saying Drake Greenlaw has been on the sideline practicing with the helmet on in Jersey. He hasn't been full participation, but he's been on the sideline working out. So that's some other good news as well.
I don't even say the best player. There you go.
Jake Moody is
That's the
back.
best
Yes,
player right there,
sir.
man.
Our kicker. They released Carlson they released that kicker, so Jake Moody is back. So he's back kicking. So thankfully he's coming back. We are playing a banged up Tampa Bay who just lost in overtime, a heartbreaking loss, and it's going to be a shorter week for them. We have only 1 day rest. Obviously, it was that Monday because they played that day. But most Mondays for teams are even practice days, you feel me? But uh Cam Killer Cam, talk to me about these Niners, man. How do you feel about these Niners? I know we made a trade move for a D line who Khalil, I think his name was Khalil Davis or something like that, who I was listening to a lot of 49er podcasts. He's a nobody. He's okay. People are just saying that he's just pretty much just gonna be like an extra body, just in case somebody gets hurt. I'm kind of disappointed because I thought the Niners were gonna make some moves. You know, not saying we didn't need to make moves at all, but I feel like making a move would have helped. You know, especially with us losing BA. Like I said, listening to a lot of 49er media, they've been saying, you know, opening up the wide receiver room, getting speed and getting those type of things because nobody's really fast on our wide receiver room. Or getting somebody that can go down the field, or even upgrading the defense because we'd have no edge rusher, nobody get into the quarterback like that. You know, Bosa's doing his thing, but outside of Bosa, it's looking rough out there. And then as well as upgrading the linebacker situation because yeah, we want to have Greenlaw come back, but we can't put all of our faith in somebody who's coming back from a very horrible injury. Same with the CMC situation. You feel me? We can't put all of our, you know, energy and oh yeah, freaking Greenlaw's coming back. Let's go. We're gonna be top tier defense stuff. Like right now, we got Fred Warner and unfortunately we got Campbell as our other linebacker who hasn't been. You know, he's decently doing the job. I think personally, D Winters is a better linebacker. Even though he's younger, you know, he may make mistakes, things like that, but I just think he's more physical and looks better. But they were saying possibly upgrading the pass rush, DBs, and things like that. So I'm kind of disappointed about us not making that many moves, Cam. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but what you feel? How do you feel about
No,
these
I don't think
boys
we
coming
need to
back?
make many moves. We just need to get healthy. Um,
You don't think we need to
Wide
upgrade anything?
receiver, I think Ricky. I think Ricky's gonna be good, bro.
But
I
he's not.
obviously
He's
is
not.
not replacing BA. There was no move to make to replace BA's production. Or
You don't think picking up Darius Slayton from the Giants could have helped? Somebody that's tall, big, and he's faster than all the receivers we have. Literally, Debo, Ricky, Jawan. Like I love my receivers, but to the point of me listening to a lot of 49ers media, they're saying that we don't get separation. Like that's our biggest thing is we don't create separation. Brandon Ayuk was the only receiver that created separation. These Debo slow, Jawan slow, Ricky still coming off of injury, but then when he does get the ball, he just comes down with it. He doesn't go for yards after catch, you know, because he's still young, still a
well,
rookie.
that's just that's just not really the Niners play style. Like they like physical receivers who are gonna get in the blocking game.
Yeah,
Um,
Slayton
it's a
can do that.
run it's a run heavy team. Um, just having speedy receivers is just not it's not really the play style. Like there was Ray McLeod, but I mean shoot, Ray McLeod's biggest play as a Niner was a jet sweep. So like having the pass game, having someone in the pass game that's just this speedy, I don't know how much he would even get utilized
I feel it.
if we even did trade for someone like that. But yeah, I don't really feel like there was much moves that need to be made. We just need to get healthy, and I feel like certain players just can turn it around. Like Ward, I think Ward can have a better season. Um, Fred has been looking good,
Yeah.
except for that Chiefs game.
Mhm.
Uh, but he's been looking good. Bosa, Bosa's tough because like Bosa has a bad whistle. I'm not gonna lie, he did not be getting calls, man.
And he gets doubled.
They be doing Bosa dirty in the trenches. But yeah, I just think we need to get healthy. That's really all it is, which we're getting. Um, hopefully they don't overutilize Christian McCaffrey. Like Mason has been looking good. We don't need McCaffrey to come back and
They've
get the
been
amount of
saying
touches.
Mason's AC joint's been bothering them. People's been saying that Garindo could possibly be RB2.
Either they both have looked good.
Yeah.
We don't need McCaffrey to come back and carry row. Slowly incorporate him in.
I say first
Um,
game he should have like 12 carries. 13 max, you know?
hey,
Like
as long as
he
he's
shouldn't have
slowly,
15 to 20 carries his first game. That's a lot of
yeah, he
carries.
doesn't. He doesn't need to come in. I don't want to say we don't need him, but we don't need him. Like we don't need him to be that right away.
Mhm.
He can slowly get in there. But yeah, I think it's hard to say, but I feel like a lot of it is on Ricky. As long as Ricky can come out and be that wide receiver two behind Debo, and well, Juwan Jennings is coming back, but
Yeah.
even then, if he's the wide receiver three, I think he can excel in his role. Um, also, just Purdy, Purdy got to get the ball out of his hands too. He be
He
holding
does.
it.
He leads the league in holding the ball.
He got to get the ball out of his hands. But I don't know. I feel like our run game be doing good, and Shanahan just be going away from the run at times. Where it's like I didn't feel like we needed to go away from the run. Um, but yeah, I just think we need to get healthy. That's really all it is. I don't feel like we needed much moves.
I feel. Yep. I mean, I can't not agree with that. We for sure need to get healthy, 100%. But I feel like making some type of move, like Cam mentioned, like our scheme is how we are. Like I don't know, maybe change up the scheme. I don't know, like maybe. So, as y'all know, we got to go over the bets and the overs and unders because that's what this page is all about. And so on the left hand side, as y'all see, my girlfriend put in this $1 bet that she unfortunately didn't hit on because she maxed it out, and she ended up hitting on the Josh Downs and Joe Flacco, but Justin Jefferson unfortunately didn't get it into the end zone, even though he had a hell of a game, as you see at the bottom of the screen, with 137 receiving yards with 7 receptions, which added up to 21 fantasy points, which was crazy. So if he got into the end zone, it would have been even more, and she would have made some money. But I ended up hitting on the bet, as you see on the bottom, $4 for a little $54. Matthew Stafford went over on the 225 for me. I hit on the Josh Jacobs 50 yards. I hit on the Jalen Hurts for 1.5 passing touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs was a discounted sale. They had him at 51.5 rushing yards, and then Marvin Harrison, I hit on that with him under 3.5 receptions, and then last but not least, James Conner was able to hit on me with the 88.5 receiving and rushing yards, I believe it was. He put 119 up, which was crazy. He's been sneaky good throughout the year. But yeah, I ended up hitting on that one, so we'll see if I could hit on some more money this upcoming weekend. But I got some crazy stats posted on this board that I'm sharing with Cam Killer Cam, and we could talk about some of these if you want to, Cam. And one of the stats, well, actually, before we get into the stats, I wanted to get your take on that Derek Carr pass with Chris Olave. And if did you hear about Michael Thomas, about his rant about Derek Carr and the pass that he made, and then the coaching? As you see, I have in the top right, he after the coach got fired, Michael Thomas ended up tweeting out, there it goes, as far as the head coach. But he also let out numerous tweets and expressed about how he felt about that situation with Derek Carr throwing that pass to Olave. But so real quick, I just want to get your take on that, Cam. How do you feel about that pass, and do you think that
He was
Derek
trying to
Carr?
get that man killed, bro.
Do you think Derek Carr is 100% at fault for that?
He was trying to get that man killed, bro.
Did you see what Mike Thomas
That,
said?
yeah, I seen what Michael Thomas said. He was going crazy. It was just a bad throw, man. Set that man up for failure.
And it's crazy because that same day that I saw that pass, I saw Josh Allen throw another pass like that. Keon Coleman ended up getting hurt. And then I saw like two other players get a pass thrown to them like the same exact day in the same exact way. Like a player coming and then the safety's coming right at them, and boom, just hitting them as they're trying to catch the ball. Like I seen literally three other players get the same exact pass. So it's crazy how it's so common, but unfortunately, prayers to Olave. But real quick, Cam.
Yeah, Derek Carr is
Huh?
a interesting person, man,
An interesting person.
to say
But
the least.
I mean, shoot, he's so interesting. Derek Carr is literally the first quarterback ever in NFL history to lose to 31 NFL teams. I've never seen that ever in my life. And then, as well as in that same post, he plays the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, in a few weeks. And if he loses to them, he would literally have lost to every single team, including the team he did play on before, which was the Las Vegas Raiders, because that's the only team he hasn't lost to because he played on them. But that's just a crazy stat, as well as I love J Love, and I love J Love because I got him as my QB for fantasy. But boy, oh boy, he leads the interception. He leads the league in most interceptions thrown. And like I said, we was talking about this on another podcast with Cam Killer Cam, thinking that he was gonna bet the under on his picks. J Love gonna give you 4 passing touchdowns, but gonna give you 2 to 3 picks with it. Unfortunately, he's a slinger, just like some people don't want to talk about, even though he's playing good this year. But Josh Allen, he was known for throwing those type of picks. As well as I want to talk about this other stat I saw with the Lions starting with 22 incompletions throughout the first 3 weeks, which is kind of crazy how they were starting off so ass, and a lot of people didn't think the Lions were going to be like that. I knew the Lions were going to be like that once I saw them last year in the NFC Championship game. But then since week 3, they've just been scoring. They've had 26 touchdowns since week 3 and just been scoring, and they don't look like they're going to stop, unfortunately. So we'll see how well the Lions keep it up. Jalen Waddle over this past weekend scored a touchdown, you guys. Yes, he did. But guess what he didn't do? He didn't have positive yardage. I don't even know how that's even possible. Maybe he just, every time he caught the ball and the 2 receptions that he did have, he went backwards. I don't know. I didn't watch the Dolphins game that hard to see how he ended with a negative 4 yards to finish the game, but I don't know what's going on over there with the Dolphins, but hopefully they get it together, because if they don't win this next game, it might be looking rough. And then last but not least, this stat with DeAndre Hopkins only having 1 touchdown in 6 games playing with the Titans, and then in 1 game he has 2 with the Chiefs. So I'm 2 games. In 2 games he has 2 touchdowns. So it's kind of scary looking for what DeAndre Hopkins has done for the Chiefs. We'll see if he continues to improve them even better. And then one more stat I forgot about, and this is probably one of the craziest stats I've ever seen. Between the 2 number 1 overall picks. Now, even though Bryce Young is a very nitpicky pick, because Bryce Young is in an unfortunate situation with the Panthers, but between Bryce and Caleb Williams, their combined record is 7-21. And the number 2 overall drafted quarterback, which the number 2 overall picks were quarterbacks as well, Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud, have an overall record of 22-11. So it's kind of interesting to see how, like I said, it's kind of a nitpicky stat, especially with Bryce Young being in the situation that he's in and things like that. But it's kind of interesting to see how the second overall picks are doing better than the first overall picks, because, obviously everyone expects the first person to be selected to be doing the best, because that's why they were selected number 1. But Cam Killer Cam, what do you think about some of these stats up here, as far as maybe the D-Hop? What do you think about that the J Love with the interceptions? What do you think about the first overall picks having a way worse record than the second overall picks?
Derek Carr is trash, but
He's
we knew
trash.
that already. We been knew that. Jordan Love, man, I've been rooting for Jordan Love for so long, but I don't know what he got going on, bro. He need he needs one more year of Aaron Rodgers under him, or the other way around. But he need to learn some more. Um, what was that? This D Hop is looking like Buddy Hield, man. New team
Buddy
and just
Hield.
going crazy. Um, the first overall picks is, I don't want to say it's expected, but if you're the first overall pick, that means you're going to a team that's in a horrible situation. So, like, I don't want to say it's expected, but it's like that team has the first overall pick for a reason. So,
I mean, Washington and Houston at the time weren't necessarily ideal either for the CJ or
yeah, but
Jaden.
they've made a lot of moves to improve their teams.
Hmm.
I couldn't tell you what the Panthers have done for Bryce Young.
I mean, Caleb Williams does got fucking DeAndre, got Swifty over there. You got Allen, DJ, Adunze.
If Justin Fields couldn't get it done, then I don't think Caleb Williams is.
Oh man, nah, I
They,
feel
they
it. They
gonna
they are drafted into bad situations, so it's kind of tough to have high expectations. Yet, like we said, I mean, nobody expected Jaden Daniels to have the Commanders. Where, like you said, they are making moves for him, but at the beginning of the year when he was drafted, nobody expected the Commanders to be where they are. Like, if you're gonna be real, you feel me? Um, Especially for a rookie, like nobody ever expected him to do what they. And so that's why they are making moves because they see what they have and think that they can make playoff noise. So they are gonna be making moves for somebody like that. But I agree with everything you said, especially about Derek Carr. He is horrible. Did you make any money over the weekend, Cam? Off of any NFL bets? Did you put any bets in?
nah. I've been on the NBA bets. I've been doing NFL for
Okay, you've been on the NBA. Have you been hitting on NBA bets?
nope.
Damn.
We've been close.
NFL bets are the only thing that's been rocking with me, so that's the only reason why I've been mostly showing you guys in NFL because that's like what I hit on the most. I don't know why. I don't hit on NBA bets, but that's literally my girlfriend. She only hits, I feel like, on NBA bets for the most part, and I only hit on NFL, so that's what I stick to.
Yeah, my last bet was no Playboy Cardi, but a whole lot of red.
Damn. You might have to put a
I
bet
gotta
in. You
stop
might
that.
have to put a bet in this someday when Christian McCaffrey comes back.
Yeah, I'm taking Travis Kelsey under, bro.
Travis
Every time
Kelsey
I've taken
under.
his over, it hasn't hit, bro.
Tough. Recap this fantasy real quick. As y'all see on the left hand side, I was able to pull out this W in my 12 team league, my money man league. Shout out to Matt Stafford. To pull it out, I was debating between starting him, Jordan Love, and Geno Smith. And Geno Smith just balled out, but he did end up having 3 picks thrown. So I kind of was like, I happy I didn't start him, but he did finish with more fantasy points than Stafford did, but it really didn't matter. But I just went with my gut and ended up starting Stafford. But shout out to Bijan and Kamara having a good weekend, which I expected, especially playing the Panthers, and then Bijan playing Dallas, who has a horrible run defense. They played very well. And then shout out to Cade Otton and then even Brock Bowers getting a late touchdown for me, because the only reason Brock Bowers even started, you guys, is because Brian Robinson got ruled out, and I had him at my flex. But I had ended up putting Brock Bowers in, and thankfully he was in, because as you see, AJ Brown ended up getting hurt and Keon Coleman ended up getting hurt, who combined for a fucking 10 fantasy points because they both ended with 5, which is kind of ridiculous. But not thankfully he got hurt, but thankfully for fantasy wise, Olave got hurt, so my opponent missed out on big fantasy points as far as Olave, and then you see his tight end only had 1.5. So thankfully, his tight end didn't do too much. But Zay Flowers had a hell of a day with 2 touchdowns and 127. But it was a close one. on my 12-man league, but I was able to get that out, pull that dub out. And then on the right hand side, it wasn't even close. In the league with Cam Killer Cam and his friends, I'm trying to make a comeback. I ended up winning this game, so now I believe I am 4-6. I was started very bad. Started the year off very bad, but coming back around, going on a win streak. So we'll see if we can keep it up. But I ended up beating him 146-114. Shout out to Jalen Hurts with 3 touchdowns. He's been eating. Devon Atchain's been eating. And that was pretty much it, to be honest with you. And everybody else had a decent game. Shout out to the Tennessee Titans defense. I picked them up on the waiver wire to play against Drake May, because I knew playing against the rookie was going to be rough. So, got to have that high IQ in fantasy. But, Cam Killer Cam, do you have anything you want to talk about before we get out of here, my boy? Nope. Well, we got Warriors. Well, we do have Warriors tonight, y'all. Play the Boston Celtics, but we have Niners, Bucks on Sunday. So stay tuned for next week's episode for the Week 10 recap. Appreciate y'all, boys, and we'll see you guys on the next one.